What's up, everyone? We've got another episode of the YuGiOh show. Look, no guest today. We're going to be doing a very special YCS recap. Guys, look, YCS London, YCS 250th was a mad weekend. We all had a lot of fun, didn't we, guys?
Yeah, it was.
It was a sick weekend, but there's definitely some stuff that I think we should be talking about right here.
Oh, okay, then I'll let you kick off. What do you think we should talk about, bro?
So first things first, the event was sick, innit? Like the whole thing was great. So many faces in, so much Yu-Gi-Oh to be had. But what the heck was going on, like with the way that day 2 was ran? What was going on with those events, man?
Yeah,
That was terrible.
They did do it.
Yeah, but other than that, because I'm sure we'll get into that. Other than that, there's not really much bad I have to say about the event. Run really well. Venue was dope. Nice entry pricing. Nice pricing across the whole sort of thing, to be fair. If you could get to the prize wall. But yeah, no, I had a dope weekend, man.
I think like the only issue that I'd say that there were, which I think is standard with YCSs, is after first round, there was, I don't know how long it was, like an hour and a half, 2 hours when we were waiting.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
That was mad.
after first round, there's always some sort of havoc. I think again because one of my mates who went, he had that same thing. It was the same thing as Leon, where like some people's codes and stuff weren't working. Though, fair play to Konami, they were a lot stricter because, like my mate, for example, he didn't register in time, so he just got a game loss for round 1. So like, whereas at Leon, they weren't as strict. I feel like, and a lot of people they just gave around buys for the round 1. This time it was like, no, they were very strict. If it was your fault, basically, they would make sure they found out and they'd give you the game loss. Which,
yeah,
I guess
It wasn't just as simple as that though. Like I had a friend who was there who got paired up against another one of the friends, but like one of them got the pairing and the other one didn't. And
okay.
Yeah.
and he was just stood in the queue, and then he was caught up in that whole thing where then he got a game loss. And,
Yeah, which is a bit unfortunate, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
if you do get kind of caught like that, is a bit peak. But it's weird because maybe I'm being deep. I wouldn't say it was run good. I'd say it was better than other events. It's still kind of great. But,
Yeah, to be fair, I don't have too much of a train of reference.
Yeah,
so.
like,
And at least they
it's
sorted
very
it out after
standard.
round 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty standard for a YCS.
yeah.
If you've been to them before, you're kind of
What's
expecting
weird
that.
is though the one, like for example, the YCS London I went to, that was my first YCS, the one before COVID. I don't remember it being that bad or that long. But maybe
No,
I'm
it
just
wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
wasn't. Yeah.
YCS 2019 was, I'd argue, was a lot smoother.
Yeah.
But I guess that's because of, I don't know, maybe it was. I think the issue that they had was they knew that because of whenever YCS London happened would also be on the same sort of schedule as the London Comic Con.
Yeah.
So what would end up happening is that you could only get your wristband after round 2. So after round 2, everyone dropped because they now had their wristband, and it ended up, and that's probably why it ended up being like less time consuming, was because around about
as well.
And it worked out actually cheaper.
Yeah, it did.
Worked out cheaper for people because the cost of a London YCS ticket guaranteed you entry for
Sunday,
both days of the
Saturday
London
and
Comic-Con.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Flipping it, could have been. If I'd gone, I was only interested in YCS, but yeah, that would have been sick if I had gone. But guys, let's go around the table then. Let's talk about well, let's start off with what we did, what we played, and how we did at YCS. So let's start with Dan. Dan's top left for me, so we're gonna start with him.
Let's go. So I played the most boring deck in the world, and that.
Oh, are we getting cards?
While Dan's talking, I'm gonna get my.
I literally just had this in front of me in it. So, but I played cash.
I'm well prepared.
I played cash. Shout out to Mark for lending me the deck core. They're real G. Yeah, honestly, like I feel like I made the right call for a long event. I didn't feel overly fatigued playing the deck. Deck was super strong. But I don't think I'm going to be playing the deck again. As I said before we started recording, Kashtira is very uninteresting to me. And this is coming from someone who chose to play Runic. So, right, Jimothy, welcome to the recording. What are you saying, bro?
What is happening? Let me just sort out my camera issues as normal, and I will be with you guys
No worries, no worries. So yeah, I played cash for the main event and for side events as well. I was this close. Nate will tell you, I was this close to taking Crystal Beast to the main event.
Oh God!
But
the
I
night
didn't.
that we ended up testing was because you were umming and ahhing about it.
I genuinely was because. Go on.
No, the big question though is if you were playing Crystal Beast, were you going to be playing a colder zone?
No.
I was gonna say, please don't play that card.
Please don't play that card. I tested that in Unchained. It's so bad.
That card sounds
like
that card sounds to me like I want to lose to Despia, bro. I want Despia to give me 6 effects and then I lose. That's what that
Yeah,
pretty much.
The card is funny, but it's not worth playing. So yeah, I played cash. I went X3 at the end of day 1, and I wanted a lion, so I decided not to play day 2, and we played some side events instead. And my team went undefeated in the 3v3. Shout out to Adam and Tom. And yeah, I had probably the most stressful game of YuGiOh I've ever played in my fucking life. In that 3v3.
I was going to say that last round that I saw you guys was insane. You had 6 judge calls.
6 judge calls, man, in one game. Not one match, one game. It was different, bro. It was different levels out here. But anyway, Jacob, what did you take to the event? Because I saw you before on the Friday, and I know that you were umming and ahhing about a deck choice.
So I decided not even like the exact card list. I decided which deck I was going to play about half an hour before the deck submission deadline, because I've just not really played very much this format and whatever. But I ended up taking Sprite with the Malfi package.
Yeah, let's go.
Thank you. And
I like it. I don't care.
And with the main deck, Ibli and Thrust.
That's pretty spicy.
As like a way to try and get into stuff more consistently if I was interrupted. But I ended up going 3-3 dropping. That was mostly, I think, down to a sort of a combination of lack of format knowledge from just not really playing very much, and a couple of incredibly stupid decisions, which I'm sure we'll get into in time. But then I played it throughout side events on the second day, and it played very well. I played much better. I won one of those 8-mans. I got to quite a few other finals of those 8-mans with the same.
Love to see it.
So I think the deck itself was pretty solid, and yeah, happy with it.
Sounds beautiful.
Good stuff.
Right.
Good stuff.
What about you, Nate?
So Nate,
as you all know, I decided to give my like pet deck another go. I decided to take Despia, the ulties and everything, flashing with the goo. Old Faithful.
Very Nate with his copy of Mirror Jade.
Very Nate. Bearing in mind that he had to learn the combos on the train down on the Friday.
Dude.
Because of the fact that I hadn't played the deck with the Rebellion line. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Ash on Brand Fusion. I need to learn how to scoop up my cards as quickly to go into game 2.
Well, don't talk to me about my round 6 then.
But I felt quite, after like a few test hands and going through the lines of the deck, I felt quite confident with it, and it's unironically one of the strongest decks in my opinion for the end board that it could put up. But going into this event, I don't think it was the right call. It was way too brave of me to think that it would actually stand a chance, because with everyone on main deck Ash and so many outs to Branded being like it was almost like how Sword Soul was for Nats.
Yeah.
It was the deck that everyone was siding against, so it was a really hard time to actually play against. So I ended up dropping by round 6, I believe. I think I went X3, and my last opponent, I lost round 1 in time, which is awkward, to Live Twin Sprite, I believe, which is an awkward one. I end up then going against Labyrinth 2-0, Live Twin again 2-0. What else was there? There was another deck as well. I can't remember the other deck. And then my last 2 losses, I hadn't played Cash up until this point. And the Cash matchup, he literally just smoked me with like triple tactics and other things as well. And then I lost the Sword Soul because I didn't do the expulsion line very well, and he evenly me game 1.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then he just goes normal summon Mo Yeet, scoop him up game 2.
Oh, peak.
That's a skill issue there.
And then I had combo in hand.
issue.
I had combo in hand in game 2, and I scuffed the line, and he literally can't top deck into anything. He sets one card and passes. I go to my turn. He activates Rivalry. I can't play around Rivalry.
Yeah.
So it's
Your tournament runs over there, bro.
If I may just jump in about playing against Sword Soul before we just jump over to Jimothy, but don't play Ibli against Sword Soul, because you're just gonna that they're gonna open the tribute summon of Longwan and then special Ecclesia.
Oh gosh, of course. Yeah,
Oh, what?
Course. What the heck?
Nah, if that's the case, then just GG, mate.
Does Longyarn get his effect when normal summoned?
No.
I was gonna. If he did.
If that was the case,
Boy.
I threw away like 3 or other interrupts to like prioritize this Ibli. And it was so stupid. It was so stupid. It's all I've got on board are 2 different Gigantics with a sprint under them and nothing else.
I was surprised how much fucking Sword Soul there was. Like, genuinely.
A lot of Sword Soul rocking about in the event.
Good deck. Genuinely. I think it's still fair. But I'll pass over to Jimothy.
Jimothy, what about you, bro?
Before I actually begin and say, I think there's a fox in my garden. So if you see me looking left, it's because there's something running around in the dark, and I don't want to go out there. But anyway,
it's Foxitude.
Danger.
It's Foxitude. I took Mathmech. I thought Mathmech would have been a decent choice, and to be fair, it served me well. I didn't have any bricking issues, so to say, just because obviously I've got Silent Mining as well as Small World in the deck. And I feel like the deck performed as well as it could have. There's probably a few issues on my part, looking back at some of the things that I did in some of my games, specifically against Subterra, when I decided to normal summon the Ash instead of normal summoning the Droll and Lockbird. That shut me down because he just opened Red Eyes Fusion like a boss, didn't he? So that Ash that was in the graveyard, I just looked at it and it was looking at me, and I was looking at it and I was like, why? Like, it was a weird moment in time as my board got destroyed and just got blown up. But yeah, I played Mathmech. I managed to stay all 9 rounds on day 1. It was long. I was struggling. Yeah, I think I did the Volvic challenge like 3 times in a row. Just like it was hot. It was hot in the venue.
Hot in that room.
Yeah, man. Mathmech was good. It was good.
As long as you had fun with it, that's the best thing.
Yeah. What was your final record then?
I went 5-4.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, if it wasn't for we're probably going to get into this at some point, but if it wasn't for branded expulsion, it might have been like 7-2. Just because I literally lost those games. It was both branded Despia, both 2-1. It was 1-1, and I just got gimmick puppet locked, and literally I just couldn't do anything.
I'm glad someone got to do it.
Don't be proud of that. Don't be proud of it.
I'm gonna use it if it's broken. I'm gonna play it, obviously.
See, the thing about expulsion as well is like it's a card where it's like, if you're not super prepared for it, it's like one of the most unfair things in the world. Like, you can't evenly them, can't special anything, and they're definitely gonna kill. And because of the way the combo works, they have follow up. They always have follow up. So it's like,
it's mad.
The fact that expulsion.
The fact that branded can generate that much hand advantage so quickly is ridiculous.
It is wacky.
It's crazy.
Chimera nice.
So
my opponent ended with one of them. Just he had Mercuria, I think he had Masquerade, and he had Mirror Jade on field. It was horrible.
Yeah.
The fact
and
that
he apologized. He apologized as well. He was like, "I'm sorry. I hate this idea." I was like, "But you're doing it anyway."
Sorry. You don't feel that bad, do you?
Nah.
Are you proud of yourself?
I think the awkward thing as well is that one of our mates showed this to me like the other day. You can Mercuria from field. It's like Ghost Ogre, and I never realized.
Yeah, it's quite insane.
Mercuria is a better card than you realise. I normal summoned it at locals the other week to use as a beta.
Oh, gosh.
And the guy said to me, "What does it do in battle phase?" And I just said, "Tack."
At least,
You're gonna make me spit out my water, bro.
It was actually really important though, because it was he had an Alaba on field that I put there with expulsion.
Yeah.
And I attacked over it. Then I had a Despia engrave to use for red to make Chimera in battle phase.
Oh,
and then you get
Chad.
both searches as well. Oh,
Chad.
flipping heck, yeah.
I wish I was that good.
Yeah. So Fabs, talk to the people, bro. What did you take?
I bought the best deck. The best. Look, I was preparing from January to bring Branded, but I fortunately, unlike Lathan, I was fortunate in that I realized like 3 days before that Branded was a victim deck for that event. Like I'm telling you, everyone, I was gunning for Branded, bro. Like I was gunning for Branded. So I put it down and I picked up the best deck known to man, Ignista.
Oh,
this deck, I'm telling you now, this deck, and it's a shame I didn't do it as well as I hoped. So I dropped at 4-3, but I was telling these guys before, like my list was genuinely insane. Yeah, for these guys, stay tuned on my channel, you'll see the list. My list
was insane.
I'm telling you now, my list was so good. I lost all 3 of my losses were very avoidable. I'll say 2 of them were like kind of bad luck, a little bit of a skill issue. One of them was entirely a skill issue. But like the list was just so good, like it put in work. Like it turns out this format, not many people can out a rival, and even fewer can out a rival when you have rivalry on board. So
no,
You know what's funny? Fabs? I bumped into you. I think it was about round 4.
Yeah.
And I asked you what you were playing. You told me.
Yeah.
And I went outside and I spoke to Tom, and I said, "Tom, we don't have an out for the towers in our list."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Well, I've already dropped, so good luck.
So I played 3 Kashtira. 2 of them rattled. Like the first one I played, I made a rival. He did his turn. He played like I think he like did prosperity, added a kaiju, then I flipped rivalry, and then he scooped. So I was like, yeah, you're not out in that.
Oh, that I didn't even think about it with.
Yeah, you can't kaiju it. You can't kaiju. You can't nib me after turn 1.
Kaiju.
And then like the second Kashtira player rattled him. The last Kashtira play, the only one I lost to, it was literally just didn't have enough time to attack for game. But yeah, like it's such a free matchup. They can't out a rivalry game 1. And then after game 1, you don't really care. It's like, okay, I've got I was playing a 50 card list. I had 18 cards in my main deck to deal with the Kashtira board. So because there's this cool play you can do with Ignista. Everything in your deck gets to Gamma, so you small world for Gamma. The Arise Heart triggers and then mandatory, because it's mandatory, then you chain Gamma. That outs.
Yeah.
So it means small world outs the Arise Heart as well. So yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, I love the deck. It was so good. So yeah, that's what I took. Didn't do as well as I could have, but definitely think it was a good pick for that list.
That's sick though.
Yeah, so
you did your best, man.
Happens.
That's sick.
But yeah, I want to hear this Judge Call story because I've been waiting for it. I want to hear what happened.
So let me paint you boys a picture in it. So it's we're in the 3v3. Me and Adam and Tom, 2 of my close friends who we stayed with. Shout outs to them. They both played their ass off in that 3v3. Round 1 starts 3/4 of an hour late, which is fine. Like, bear in mind, if you didn't go to the YCS, this is on the Sunday, and the Sunday travel was like a myth. So like, as the tournament went on, people were starting to stress about travel. Well, that's by the by. Round 1 win, round 2 win, round 3 we go into this matchup. We're all undefeated at this point, and I sit across from my opponent, who's player B. He's on cash as well. Game 1, honestly, like I'd love to tell you that I could remember what happened, but all I remembered was that I won because that was what mattered. Game 2, I'm siding. I look over at Tom. His game is done. I'm like, okay, cool. We play the game. I make a move. I make some move, and a judge is called. Like, because we're not sure. No, that was it. I had a Scareclaw down. He had a Scareclaw down. And in fairness, this was a misplay on my part. I Scareclaw attacked into his Scareclaw, just for some reason. And he goes, "Oh, what happens then?" Because they cancel each other out. And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Let's call it Judge." Judge is looking at it for like 10 minutes, and he's like, "Oh," he just rules that they both get sent to the graveyard. It's like, okay, whatever. I make another play. I think I'm on like a flare metal, and I pass. He activates a card, and I go, okay, in a new chain, flare metal, like to burn. And he's like, no, it will resolve separately. And I was like, okay, cool, like that's fine, you're still taking the life. And then he calls the judge over to like double check the ruling. We check the ruling. It's all fine. He then takes he talents is a Dark Armed that I have on board with a material. He uses the effect to pop, and he tries to attack with it. And I'm like, you can't do that because Dark Armed is like Soul Charge, right? You can't use both the effects and attack in the same turn. And he's like, oh, but he says you can't attack on the turn. Like, you can't attack after this activated. And I was like, I know, but like this is how it's ruled. So Judge comes over number 3. Judge rules in his favor this time. It's whatever. Like it's arbitrary at this point. Adam's game is wrapped up next to me. So like I'm stressing like a little bit because like I have to win this game for us to win, but whatever. He attacks over, makes a board. I play through the board. I have a unicorn on my field. He summons a Fenrir. He's got Planet down. He says to me, attack for 2,500. And I don't register it because I'm like, this is like, I've had like a long weekend of YuGiOh. I'm just feeling a little bit fatigued at this point. Like I just miss it. Like probably my error for missing it, but whatever. I go, okay, crash the unicorn and the Fenrir. Main 2, he starts making a new play. He's got an XCs down and he's like, oh, the Fenrir should have stayed alive because it was actually gaining 200 instead of 100. And I'm like, fuck, how did I miss that? I'm like, well, it's accepted game state now. He's like, oh no, I want to see if I can take it back like Judge. And I'm like, okay, cool. We'll call this Judge over. I think the Judge rules it as accepted game state, and like Tom's sitting next to me and he can tell that like I'm just getting like annoyed at this point because like the clock is running down.
Yeah.
Like the clock is ticking.
And you guys are literally like, as from watching from the outside, Tom was literally there just helping with the rulings because of how
Tom, he's a judge in it. He's actually a judge.
Yeah,
as well.
he is a judge, so he knows what he's doing. But he was just getting mad stressy because everyone was bearing in mind there was little to no time left on the clock.
Yeah, he does a play. I go to activate some effects, and he doesn't like. He just says I can't, and I'm like, bro, I can literally do this. Judge is called for the 6th time.
Oh my god!
Clock's winding down. I'm 100 up on life. So I just the Judge rules and I just swing, and that's that. But yeah, shout out to that. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, one of the rulings went to the head judge.
The judge was sat behind him the entire time.
Yeah, shout out to you, innit? If you're listening, shout outs to you. But yeah, it was a very stressful game. We won, and then we were waiting 2 hours for our next round to be called, and then they rolled that the 3v3 would not be doing the 4th round, and everyone would get a win. So yeah, got myself a nice bit of OTS packs, and already sold all the good stuff in there. So if anyone wants 4 copies of Ninjutsu Art of Duplication, holler me. So, yeah, that's my jarring story from the YCS.
I feel like that's always one of the things that like I'm moving away from my mic. That's one of the things I feel like that always pulls down YCS and events for me. Like sometimes with judge rules and like people sharking or getting rulings wrong and stuff, like it's so irritating. Like
you know what's mad? Like I will say this about that game. I don't even think it was a case of my opponent was trying to sharp me. I think it was a case of the game state just became more and more cursed as it went on, and like we were just losing track of stuff. Because like Nate, you were watching it from like an outside perspective because I think we were the only table left playing in the 3v3, so people started watching stuff.
Yeah, you were the only.
Mine was the only match as well.
Yeah, you were the only table that were left playing, and you were the only match as well. Like because of the fact of obviously you've spoken about travel as well. Everyone was trying to leave the venue because of there being signaling issues and so on and so forth. So me and Louis me and another friend, were looking to leave, but we decided to stick around for the match just to see how things went. And as the game state progressed, it started to look like things were becoming a lot more stressful than they actually needed to be.
Yeah,
and
they
it was
definitely
mainly
were.
because of the fact of obviously because time was going to be called relatively soon, but both players, you and the other person included, the problem with Cashdero matchups is that obviously these effects aren't quick effects, like they're on resolution. So if you mistime them, it can then obviously lead to a complicated.
Man.
It
gets icky. But that aside, I had a banging weekend. And if anyone wants to play an event and does not want to think for a bit, just play Cash.
Yeah,
that's my genuine like.
As you're saying, play Cash. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets a little bit of a love tap on the list.
It will.
Deserves it.
Fenrir to 1. There's no way that card will stay at 3 for much longer, in my opinion.
This brings me on to something that I wanted to ask you guys. So, like, obviously, I've spent quite a while talking about my weird round. So, what are some like takeaways that you had from the event in terms of like what needs to be done on the format, like what we're thinking about the format and the ban list, like any cards that you noticed someone use and you were like, this is such an insane tech? Because like we have to talk about the Kirikara play in the final, right? That was
insane. The fact it's not once per turn.
So I would say that in my opinion, actually, I think Kirikara is only good because Kashtira is good. I do think it's a good card.
I agree.
But I think it's only actually good because Kashtira is good. So I think not to actually, it's calm. If you're offended by this, be offended. Anyone who picked up Kirikaras now, you've played yourself, bro. Because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Like, even if Konami doesn't hit Kashtira, it's not that you made a good decision. You just lucked into a positive outcome. Like, so yeah, Kirikara is it's the play in the final. One of the things as well that I feel like it really highlighted for me is how obvious it is sometimes Top Cut is a bit of luck. Like, I don't know what the other guy's name is. The other guy did not play badly. How do you beat that hand as Kashtira, double Kirikara talents? Like, you can't play around that. He didn't play badly. Not to say that Samir didn't play well. I think to get into Top Cut and to get to those high levels does require skill. But
he was the only Sprite player left in Top Cut, I think, as well. So to get to that stage as well is really impressive.
But it's like his opponent didn't misplay or anything. He didn't no, he played well. He just
had the out. He literally had the epitome of
and starter as well. He had starter as well.
Yeah, insane.
What do you even do against that hand?
I also want to bring this up as well. The fact of every single fair hire player, as soon as they saw that deck go into Top Cut, they were like, we've plus. Because there's only one printing of
Beat.
I can't...
Beat.
There's two printings of Beat.
Oh, is it two of Beat? I thought Beat's the one that went to like 30.
But both of them are still relatively money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're still quite expensive. But to be honest, I think that deck is actually kind of nice.
I think it's okay. I think it's mediocre, but I think again, I think it's more that the player playing it again was just really good, and no one knew what the cards did.
That's true.
I think taking it was a good meta call. I think a really good meta call.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see where it settles with that, but I do think that like getting those extra draws in a runic deck is like nothing to be sniffed at. Like Volvo can draw you an extra 3 cards a turn. It's
very
nice.
nice.
True. That is true. Like the huge amount of draws is definitely nice. I think for me with Furhai, I look at it and it just looks like normal 7 brick. That's how I was
I mean, it is. It absolutely is. Like it's just like turbo into Rex.
Yeah.
And go from there mostly.
Hope your opponent doesn't have imperm, I guess.
Although, like to be fair, like the way that Dinkar played into around Droll in the feature match against Jess Robinson was incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Was that the match that cut out halfway through?
No, that was the semi. This was top 64.
Yeah.
Got it.
Jessica Robertson.
Yeah,
shout out to Jess as well and Rika. That's another deck that I think is very mediocre, and it's just a very good. Yeah. It's another deck that
I've been saying it for a while.
I've been saying it for a while. Look,
you've been saying it for a while.
I think Rika is such a like mid deck, but I think the disciples are all insane at the game.
Yeah.
Well, it's like it's Jess and Alex who really piloted that deck for that.
If you watch the profile, actually, it was Tom Rose who came up with the combo they were using.
Yeah.
So Tom Rose, he came up with a new combo for them, and basically, so one of the biggest weaknesses of Rika was Nib, essentially. Like all the Sun Avalon nonsense was Nib, but essentially in his combo, you get to the Therion King Regulus very early, and so it's like it doesn't even matter if they nib you because you've got Regulus to protect. Like very early in your combo, and then it lets you carry on. So
okay.
But that's
does anyone know what? Yeah, I was going to say, does anyone know what Rose was on for the event?
He was on Rika as well, but he
lost. Oh, was he?
I think he said he went extra drop in it.
He's been playing that deck for a long time now.
Yeah.
So he said he went like X2 drop. So it's like it's not he's a bad player. I guess he just got unlucky. He might just be a bit rusty. But he's he's the one who came up with the combo. So
to be honest, it happens though at these long events. You see good players losing out in the first few rounds. Like I think Hani missed out on Top Cut as well.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think Hani was anywhere near it. I mean, like Vlad Baranovskis dropped very early.
Yeah, he was doing. I remember I had a chat with Hani. Like he was like XO or something like round 4 or 5, but then it just kind of went downhill from there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens. Though. It's like that, isn't it?
At least it's better than what happened to one of the guys that we spoke to at the event, Solemn YuGiOh. He registered his deck list wrong, so he couldn't play the event.
Right.
so he ended up playing a load of side. I think he did pseudo well in side event. He was playing like some Scare Claw, Brave deck, 60
Punk.
cards.
Yeah.
Oh, he's playing the punks as well. Oh, fair
I
play.
think so.
Yeah, but nice enough guy. But it's just a bit unlucky, isn't it? Especially when you have an automated system like they. I think this was the first time that they did fully automated system and no deck lists.
Yeah, normally it's like they have at least papers as a backup in it, but this time,
Yeah.
So I did actually want to touch on this now. What did everyone think of the neuron only for the main event?
I actually didn't mind it. I think it's going towards a better way of obviously signing up for the event because it saves a lot of time from you writing out deck lists. So you already have all of the cards there on the system, and all it takes is a click of a button to upload it, and all you got to do is just go and show your ticket and then grab your prizing.
I think for that amount of people, for it to run the way that it did, I think it was a good thing. And I personally valued not having to just like gather around a central point with lots of other Yu-Gi-Oh players trying to like jostle for position, like we're trying to catch a football or something like that. To just basically see where my next opponent is going to be placed and where I'm going to be sitting. Do you know what I mean? I love the fact that I could like I'm going to run to the toilet quickly, and then I can check where I'm sitting and then just go to my seat. Do you know what I mean?
It was the same thing as what happened with I keep on bringing up Nats last year, but that was the same thing. Like at big tournaments when you're sort of gathered around those meeting spots to meet or to see that you're just barging with people and you can't physically breathe sometimes.
It's stressed out before you sit down and you've already, exactly. You know what I mean? And then you're having to like your bags hitting people on the way to your seat and that. It's just that. It's just
That's exactly it. No, I agree.
It's a good thing.
Oh, sorry.
It's a good thing as well. Oh, okay.
No,
it's a good thing.
The only thing was, go on now.
Oh, okay. It's a good thing as well that there was the issue that we also had with the venue last time was that there wasn't internet in the or there wasn't good signal in the actual venue as well. So finding online pairings was an actual myth because you would be waiting to find like if pairings were up, and then by the time that round was about to start, you would be running to your space. And I think that was a good thing this time.
That's one. Look, the XL is such an incredible venue. Like the internet was on point. There was multiple toilets. Like, whoa, this sounds so revolutionary, but there were multiple toilets. Like, there was food in the venue. It was getting to the venue, guys. I don't think you like the Elizabeth line is sick. Literally, you just get on the Elizabeth line and then you're there. There's no like have to pay for like a £15 Uber or something to get. Nah. XL was such a solid venue, man. I love that.
Same for me with the DLR. Like, it's so easy.
Yeah. Very easy.
Like me and Nate stayed like in Barking, which is about half an hour away from the arena, but it was rough. But it was so easy to get to the venue just because of like that having the train station essentially at the venue. So that was dope. And I believe Nats this year is in Birmingham. It's at the NEC.
Let's go.
Which also has a direct train to it. So good to see that they're doing that.
I actually live like 15 minutes away.
Oh, you're gassing it.
We're all staying at your house.
Bring a sleeping bag if you're alright.
Let's go.
Yeah, that was one thing I was gonna say. Like, just to agree as well. Like, I really, even though there were hiccups, there's always going to be hiccups with an automated system. I think it's long overdue to have Neuron in the as a kind of mainstay, and I was happy with it. There were hiccups, sure. But like I think I can't remember who said it, but like it was Andre. Like little things like I can go to the toilet and like I don't feel pressure. Like if I go to the toilet, will I miss it? Do I have to crowd round and look like no? I'm just looking at my phone, and it pretty much always works. Like that was really
good. The pairing system itself was so good. Like I hope to the Lord that they continue to do that.
Even registering your deck as well. You didn't have to.
That was so sick.
That was sick. Yeah.
I wonder if they could do that for like regionals and stuff like that, because I feel like I know regions are a little bit smaller, but could they not employ that? Because it's just I feel like it's so much easier just to do it that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
They'll get there.
They'll get there.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully.
We'll have dual this by then as well. No, I'm joking. Showing up there.
Yeah. So, what was everyone's like tournament highlight in terms of like a match or a game they played, like where they really felt like either they played super well or they saw an opponent play super well and like a really interesting play, or even if they just got like just twatted someone like properly,
Andre's
like in a
eyes lit
game.
up then, so.
Yeah,
Right.
go on, Andre. Talk to the
Itching to
people.
go first. Itching to
Talk to
go
the people.
first because and Tom's not here. So this was my highlight of the tournament. I was playing and somebody was playing Valent FTK next to me, and he was
This is your favorite
He
deck.
he was slapping people, and I was watching him play while I was playing. I was making misplays because I was like, "Is it this for real?" Like he was comboing off, and his opponent was reading every card. Like, he actually lost in time just because of his combo. But the reason why it was a highlight is because the opponent turned to me at the end and he was like, "Are you Jimofi?" I was like, "Huh?" Like I turned around, I was like, "You talking to me?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me." He's like, "Oh, you on YouTube?" And I was like, "Oh yeah. Like nice to meet you," kind of thing. Like shook his hand and that, and I was like, "No way!" Like as if I'm coming to like, do you know what I mean? And that was definitely the highlight. More so because I seen Valence, but yeah, it was good. That was good.
Also, here, shout out to that video that you put up in locals of you getting Pendulum FTK'd, because that I was there in person, and it was just the most wonderful. I've never seen anybody be so happy to be FTK'd. It was beautiful.
I'm a fan of the game, man. I love it. I love seeing things like that.
No, it's definitely always cool seeing that. Like, I think as well, it's nice you getting that recognition as well.
Yeah.
Like, someone seeing like, it's like, oh me, like, yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah,
me."
that's
Yeah, but it was good.
Deserved.
No,
Deserved.
for me, my highlight was one of our mates, Kieran, he hit top 64.
Let's
And,
go.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And
Shout out to Kieran
the
Bowers.
reason it was such a highlight for me is because I've watched Kieran. Like, Kieran's a sick player, but he's been trying to get that top 4 a while, and it's like he's the kind of guy he's consistently topping and winning regionals and stuff. Puts effort into the game, all of that, and so seeing him hit that top 64 at this big YCS, like when I saw it, I was so. And the thing is as well, Kieran is like he's not like a braggadocious guy. Like even though he was like,
No, he's not at all.
he was like, I don't think I'm going to do that well, all of that. But then he comes in and then he tops and he did. And it's like, even on the day, like, I remember it's like he was playing and it's like, he's just always, Kieran's not a particularly expressive person. So it's like, you would go up to him, he's just like, oh, it's going fine. Like, I'm X1. And it's like, everything's calm. And then it's like, I remember I left the venue a bit early, seeing the message in the chat. And he's like, oh, yeah, I've made day 2. And it's like, we were like, oh, sick. And then it gets on day 2. And then after his last round, he put a message again in the chat. And he was like, I'm still X2. I think I'm in, guys. And then we saw it like, nah, that was a huge highlight. It's always nice seeing someone make it like that. And yeah,
Definitely.
props to him. He 100%
Yeah,
deserves
before we
he
move
was,
on, I do want to say this about Kieran. Like, he's genuinely, I think he's probably one of the most skilled players like I've ever seen. Like, I don't think I've ever taken a match off him in the 4 years I've been playing him on and off at locals. Really super nice guy. Like, very, very deserving of his top. Like, shout out, bro. Big up, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, very well
Yeah,
deserved.
shout out to you, Kieran.
Nice.
It's good to see.
Yeah,
His
shout out.
profile's going to be out soon as well, guys, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
It's a spicy little sprite list you guys are going to love to see.
Yeah.
We love it, man.
things
We
I have
love
to
it.
say as well. Like,
Go on.
as well. He's very skillful when he plays. Like, genuinely, the man will sit there, look at his hand, like actually take the time to look at the board state and go through. Like, I've never seen him not take a top at a premier event. You know what I mean? Like regionals and stuff like that. And he's
I've never seen him
it's
stress
one-
playing the game.
Nah. And it's
Ever.
also really nice to see one of the Brum lads take it.
Yeah,
Of course.
Definitely, especially when it's one of the local lads. Like,
100%.
Definitely,
Also-
especially someone who's like as nice as him as well. But sorry,
Yeah.
I'll stop gushing now.
I was just going to say as well, also shout out to Cam Bates. He didn't.
Yes.
He
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately didn't top, but he was on a tear. He was XO up until like round 6 or something, like playing Naturia Runic. Unfortunately, just missed out on top cut. He ended up like 91st place or something. But yeah, shout out to him as well because he's another one who did a really good
100%.
job. Just unfortunate the last.
Definitely.
second.
I remember bumping into him at the event on day 1, and I was like, "Oh, how's your tournament going?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm just at table 1, just to a Dinkabooey." Like, he was like the most natural in the world. And I was like,
just
"Oh."
flexing. And we were
Yeah,
watching like the feature match as well, and he was like, "That should have been me."
Sick guy,
I
man.
technically won that.
Sick guy. Shout
But
out. Cam.
I travelled down with Cam as well, and he super nice guy, genuinely.
Yeah, we'll get
deserves
onto our
all the praise.
little travel story actually once Jacob's told us a little bit about his highlight of the tournament,
Yeah,
and you
go for
actually.
I'm trying to think, like, I guess on one level it probably has to be the like winning the side event, even though it was only a 3-round thing. Like that was a really nice sort of like validation for for my deck choice and my play. But that I definitely also want to talk about my round 4 in the main event, which was against my second Dino of the main event. And so game 1, I go first. I do my full board, whatever. Ibley on his field, all that. He draws. He hasn't interrupted me. I don't know what he's playing. He draws, sets 2, passes. And then I draw off a turn, and I look at his hand, and like he's picked up a field center from his tin, and he started shuffling a field center into his hand. And then and then I'm looking at this hand, I'm like, there's a lot of cards here. And I'm like, how many cards in hand? Just in like the way that you normally ask how many cards in hand. And it's like, oh, and it takes this field center out of his hand and puts it away. And then like, oh, I've got like 5. And I'm just there like, A, you've actually got 6 in your hand. B, like, you've also got 2 cards set. And you haven't done anything.
Yo.
And so I say,
audacity.
hang on a minute here. And then he's just like, a scoop. And I probably should have called a judge, but like I got the game in it, so like we went on. And then game 2, he made his full Dino board with Nat Beast, and I dark rulered it, and then did that nice combo where you do Chainlink 1 Gigantic, Chainlink 2 Zeus, and then the Gigantic resolves by detaching material off the Zeus. Yeah. And so that was very fun. But yeah, just a whirlwind of emotions in that game. Like, why someone gets a field center and shuffles it into their hands?
Yeah, that's very suspect.
There's dark arts right there. He's probably had a card stuck to the bottom of it or something like that.
I was like, how does the field spell even get like? I'm confused at how that even worked. Anyway, yeah.
Well, he just like had his bag like hunched over him, like right in front of the table, and he just like in the middle of my turn just picked up this tin and was just like going into it.
Let me just side deck and pulls out a full binder.
And we were like, this was like round 4 or round 5 or something, and like we were X1 at the time. Like this wasn't just like he had to have won games. It was bizarre.
Yeah. That's professional behavior.
That's mad.
Yeah,
that's like, he's familiar with doing such activities.
To be honest, like that was the same thing that happened in me in the advanced double up. There was someone who did that as well, and he kept on calling judge because I think both of them were Hungarian, but they were both playing Sword Soul, and his opponent gammered him, and he just goes judge. Just at a random point in time, and he's saying he's not resolving the cards very well, and it was just and then he keeps on calling judge, and I'm playing my game, and the next thing I hear is he swears in Hungarian, and then he just goes, I'm sorry, dude, I don't know how you won all your games. Literally right in the middle of this, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to get my stuff.
Rude,
I don't understand how you have the audacity, bro. And he wasn't playing very well either.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I was going to say, if someone said that to me, it's like, I feel like we need to scrap. Like, you can't just...
You want to fight outside the XL? Come on, then.
Talk to me like that. What the heck?
I'll give you the battle in boxer 1-2 combo.
It's a bit emotional. Oh, well, suck you up, bro. I beat you, didn't I?
If I can just trap one other thing as well, both my first 2 rounds I played against YuGiTubers. So like I was very like, am I going to do this for the entire day? At first,
who was that?
Who did you play against?
First I played Rufio, who's been on this show.
Okay.
And then I played against Adam from the Card Market channel. Both were really nice folks to talk to. Beat Joe. I should have beaten Adam, but I'm an idiot.
Nah, you're fine. It happens. Right, then I guess I'll go. So I have a few.
Go on.
I have a few over the event, which was kind of So in my third round, I end up playing the second Live Twin Sprite deck that I saw the entire tournament, and this was also the Live Twin Sprite deck that was teching in runic cards as well.
Oh yeah.
So in my first round, my opponent in game 3 decides to go full combo with the runic with everything and sets up a board of IP Masquerena, Carrot Red, both the twins, 3 back row, and I'm like, this is the most overextendy board ever, because if you get Dark Ruler and you're banking on the runic cards. But unfortunately, opening Branding Expulsion and Branded Opening isn't enough. Right. So I then play against. So to this story, go up against the Light Twin Sprite player. In game 1, he takes first round. In game 2, I claw it back. I think I end up signing in Bestial Magnamuts and also back row removal as well, just in case if he is on those runic cards and doesn't find a way of getting into Fountain. So in game 3, he decides that he's going second, and I literally see my hand, and I just set one and pass because I don't have a way of doing anything, and it's the saddest thing because most of the hands in the deck are playable. But I just set one and pass. He draws, looks at his hand, looks back at me, sets one, passes. And it then proceeds to be a case of we then go back and forth of looking at our hand, passing, because we don't have anything else. And it just comes to a point where I just see enough stuff that I can just start going and he can't do anything. He ends up and it just gets to a point where he activates 3 econ and 2 cross out
Oh my gosh.
and then a call by the grave on a Despian Tragedy that I said.
Freaking heck.
And to the point where I just have to keep on grinding, and then I managed to get the OTK. He reveals his hand to me, and his hand was like going first. It was 3 evenly, 2 econ, and then all of his sprite cards were on the bottom of the deck.
Oh, painful.
Wow.
And Nathan stacked a Supreme.
No, it wasn't me. I promise. I shuffled everything.
For legal reasons, that was a joke.
It's only joke. It's only joke.
Just a little bit of an interjection there. Again, I don't know what was with my games. I was sitting next to one player, and he lost to a runic variant, and he was fuming. He called the judge over at the end of the game, and he's like, "Judge, come here, please." He said he left all his cards where they were, and he's like, "I don't accept this." He's drawn destruction 3 times in a row, like consecutively. I've watched him put it on the back of his deck. Has he got 5 copies of it in his deck? So the judge, the player, and the player that obviously called the judge over were arguing for about 10 minutes. I was just sitting there watching. They was arguing for about 10 minutes. And the player says, obviously I've got the correct amount. Deck got checked and everything. Yeah. And he just pulled his cards and kind of like knocked his cards over and walked off. Guy, he just dropped from the event. He knocked his opponent's cards over and then just walked off. I was like, is this for real?
And from that day forward, I have never touched a runic card.
I don't believe
it blew
you.
my mind. I was like, no way, as if this happens. Like, he was X3. It's not like he was going to top, but like,
No.
he was that angry.
You want the win, innit?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, some people will get massively salty about the simplest losses.
I just don't get it.
I was that tempted to take Unchained on second day. I was like,
you picked up a new deck, Nathan, for day 2, didn't you? So what happened there? Talk to us a little bit.
So I was definitely not on the wave with Branded. I think I just got really burnt out with the deck, to be honest, and I was going to put it down anyway. I just wanted to give it one last go, just to see how things went. And then a mate of ours decided to show me a list that he's been piloting for a while, and I was like, "Oh, this looks fun." Shout out to Jacob Sable. And,
I know exactly where this is going.
Yeah, so I ended up going around the vendors, picking up the spare cards that I needed, and I ended up asking Cameron if I could borrow some of his cards. So into day 2, into the advanced double up, I was playing Tier Elements Cash because the deck, in my eyes, was just if it goes off, it ends on like 5 interruptions, which is really nice. And if not, then you're still and then you're still ending on like Fenrir Unicorn with other things as well. And it actually ended up going quite well. I was undefeated going into 3rd round, and then I end up going against I can't remember his name, but he's a really nice guy. He said he had his deck stolen by round 5 in the event. And he was playing Kashtira as well, so that's not an easy an
easy ult to take.
Yeah.
So one of his mates gave him a Sprite Melfi deck to play, and I end up winning dice roll going first. But he like ashes something, I think. I can't remember, but I end up on a really scuffed board. I end up with Unicorn Fenrir and Tier Elements Cash. And I'm like debating on whether or not to just leave him on board. So I end up just making the Arise Heart. Turns out he has the Book of Moon in hand and books it, and then he just starts playing off from there. I was like,
skill issue there, nice.
If you had it, you had it. It is what it is. And then game 2, I'm kind of playing from behind really because my opponent just opens everything. I end up setting up a board of, I think it was Kaleido Heart and the Grapha Fusion. But I ended up having to banish one of my names because he quick effects synchros into Herald of the Arclight. So I have to pay around Arclight as well, and it was really weird. My mills was sick though. I milled both the shufflers and everything.
FTK against tier,
yeah, with the way that it's been restricted now, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I played against it in one of the side events, and like even though rationally, like it's nowhere near as powerful, you still when they mill, you're still bricking it, like completely bricking it. And like like half the time, like he was just milling like super polys, but like still, like every time I'm just like convinced that this is the end.
I'd say it's more similar to old tier, innit? Before it got the Ishizu cards, where it's like it's not always, but I would say that for sure. Tier Cash, I think right now it's bad, but I think that as soon as Kashtira leaves the format, Tier Cash will be a very good deck. Because
I agree.
Yeah, it does.
You don't even
possibly
play that many
as well
copies.
with Runic, if Runic takes a hit, because like having one-ofs banished out your deck as well is
I hated
Konami. Please, Konami, hit Runic.
That deck needs to go. I was playing against Cam on day 2 when I fully built the deck, and I was like, this is not nice. And I even teched in the list itself was playing Chaos Hunter, so Cam had to go out of his way just to get rid of Chaos Hunter, just so he could start activating his Runic cards, which you can do because of the Naturia cards.
Yeah.
I was really annoyed about that, Nate, actually, because you put it together at the day one and you were like, Dan, test with me. I was like, okay, cool. I'll test with you. Playing the greatest deck of all time, Crystal Beast. And this card here needs to banish for cost to get the effect, to get your rank 4s going, to get your brick to your hand, to get your Death Spell Alive going. I special summon a guy and Nathan drops a Chaos Hunter. And I think it's at this point that I kick him out of our Airbnb.
This was when I got shoved on the sofa bed for like the entirety of the week.
Bro, I'm trying to resolve Sapphire Pegasus and you're trying to do me like this, man. Fuck out.
It's only a game. Why are you mad?
He's just a game. Nah, Joe.
It's only a game. It was so fun though. Literally, that deck is just.
Yeah.
If it gets going, it gets going. Yeah. And
I wanted to ask Nick, how easy was it for you to pick up cards from the vendors? Because I know, for me, that was one thing that I was a little bit naive about going into it. I didn't realize how much I could have like interacted with the vendors in terms of like bringing my own cards and trading. So was it easy to get the cards, or was you looking around for a while?
I was actually, to be fair, most of the cards were actually on sale, like quite cheaply as well. The only things that I actually needed to pick up were Kashtira Unicorns and 2 of the field spells, which were quite common to find, and then Chaos Hunters as well. I ended up having to pick up a Grapha Fusion, which was also being sold at the vendors. I know that one of the mates that I know worked for Lazy Dragon Gaming. I think it's Lazy Dragon Gaming. It's one of the vendors that were already there, and they're a really good store or vendor to go to. So I ended up picking up a few cards from them. And then there was also another vendor, but that in particular one only dealt with cash, which was a bit of an awkward one.
Yeah, I think that's why I was asking, because we ran into that issue.
Yeah, but it's a really awkward one as well, because they did have some really nice cards, and they also had a lot of American prints as well.
They had a lot of good deals actually as well. That
vendor, it wasn't bad. The reason why I say this is because one guy that I knew, he just took a folder full of just OTS like commons and supers, and he made like £50. Like I think he sold it to like some German vendor because it's in the English copies. You got me, and then he was just like, "Yeah, this is easy money." I was like,
That's
"What?"
Literally, so like what I did on the first day is I took similar thing. Like I had a binder full of old deck cores, random supers, OTS supers and secrets and stuff. And then like I had some meta stuff, but like I would say the meta stuff I had probably came to about 250, 300. And then I made another like 300 just from like a binder full of again just random secrets and supers. So when you do pull those, don't get rid of them, just hold them. And to be honest, what I thought was funny again is it's like sometimes I don't realize just how much vendors will actually take. So like, there's cards I didn't bother bringing with me. I'm literally looking at it right now. There's a stack of cards. There's stuff like this Speed Raid Scratch. This is a random secret I pulled ages ago. That when that's come around, I'm gonna go sell it. I'm gonna take it all.
Yeah,
and
I think I'm gonna do that as well because I've got so much bulk that I need to.
I've definitely learned.
And then in general, I would say the best time to sell is always the best time to sell your stuff is always literally when you get there on the first day, because that's when they're buying for great. Like they bought my thrusts for 50 each, which I was super happy about because I bought them for 65 each at Leon. So I mean, literally only took a 15 hit for that card, which I'm completely okay with. My Cartesias, they bought them for 30. My Lubellion, they bought it for 50. Like, good price.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Do not underestimate the vendors, man. Like, quite a lot of people we saw who we went up with were like, "Oh, I kind of wish I bought a bit more," because like there's that thing of going to an event, you want to travel light, right? But if there's money to be made, there's money to be made. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that was my issue. That was my issue because I like I said, I traveled really light because I was a bit conscious of just like having too many cards and like losing my bag or something like that. But when I seen what the vendors were taking, I was like, wow.
That's down the road.
I would say
exactly. So just pop home in it.
I'd say the tip to anyone who wants to do it is like this is the strategy I go though. I'm gonna change the strategy just in case anyone tries to break into where I'm staying.
Giving away the goo.
Yeah, I bring 2 bags basically. So you just like this is not some magical strategy, but I think I have a plan of what I'm going to sell. So I already knew what I was going to sell on the first day, and that was in one deck box, and then that deck box, and then my playing deck box. The only 2 deck boxes that came with me on the first day. Everything else was in my suitcase back at the accommodation. So it's like, someone could have. We were saying it's funny on the second day. There was probably several grams worth of stuff in that. There was bare cash because all of us guys sold stuff. So if someone broke into their peak. But obviously, we're not staying near the venue. There's no reason why that place should randomly get broken into. But then it's like on the day, you just have that one deck box or one binder, bring that, sell it, and then you'll be calm. And then similar thing. Don't like. That's why sometimes when people get stuff, don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming you if your stuff gets stolen. But in general, it's like I would always advise traveling as light as possible when you're going to the venue itself. So it's like, if you want to bring stuff, leave it in your com. There's no reason to bring 12 different deck boxes unless you're actually going to keep an eye on them, because it's a hassle, and that's how things can go a bit awry.
The one thing I will say on that is there was a lot more Good Samaritans at that YCS London than I thought there would be, because I heard about a lot of people nearly losing stuff. I was one of them in it. Like I left my bag at a table, which had like my deck core in it, half of which wasn't even fucking mine. Charger, what have you, things like that. And I'm like, crap, I'm running around losing it. I go to check the lost and found just on a wing and a prayer. And some kind Samaritan handed it in. So if that was you, bro, I don't know how you'd know it was me, but big up in it. Like, come find me.
There was also like another thing as well. My opponent ended up losing their deck box. Next to me in the advanced double up. I literally ran to the lost and found and got it.
Yeah.
There was also, there was occasions as well where people just had their deck stolen, like
Yeah.
Like Louis, one of our mates ended up losing his phone on the
Oh
day.
yeah, I forgot about that.
He was panicking, and I rang it 3 times just to make sure it wasn't anywhere. We checked there. I checked with everyone at the table, and then I asked, "Did you ask your opponent?" He goes, "Asked his opponent. His opponent has already dropped it into the lost and found, which is
lovely.
which is
So like,
really nice.
mad respect to Yu-Gi-Oh players. Like, not all of them are complete
It's
pricks.
gotten a lot better than it was, I think, and we're now at a stage. I think
obviously, like, it's still not there because one of our friends did have their bag stolen, and their bag was returned. But the wallet was pretty much empty. I mean, they'd already cancelled the card and everything. There was only like £5 worth of money in there, but obviously it's still inconvenient.
It's not a nice thing.
Yeah, but like nothing of great. It sounds peak to saying it, but like you know, it could have been a lot worse than it was. And I think they'd agree with me in saying that. After the conversation that I had with them, but yeah, big up to everyone who found something that wasn't theirs and handed it into the lost and found. Karma will put you in it, and if you stole, you're a piece of shit, bro. On God, you're a dickhead.
If you stole something, the boys are coming for you, bro. We're coming.
Yeah, trust me. Trust me.
And they have too many weapons.
All my homies hate stealing.
I love Jacob's cosign. Jacob had that well-behaved cosign. So we're coming on the hour mark, but I do want to do this because I don't think we did it last show, and we are going to do one "Am I the Asshole?" and then we're going to head out. And I thought this is a funny one. Let's get it. So it reads: Am I the asshole for objecting to my sister marrying my cousin? So,
are we going into Asian territory?
I came with the spice. You guys don't even know. So, we're half sisters with different fathers. My cousin is on my dad's side, so they're not related. But since I'm related to both of them, I find it gross. I told my sister I didn't like it when they first started dating, but she said it was just a hookup and didn't matter. Still gross, but I could have lived with it. Well, she lied. They continued dating, and now they're engaged. As soon as they announced it, I called them out for being disgusting as well as the people congratulating them. Some family members agree with me, including my mum. My dad, however, is on the fence and thinks I should just sit back and see how it goes. My sister thinks I'm an arse and that I need to get over it because they share no blood. She admits they met in an unusual way, but they were meant to be and won't let me ruin it. My cousin said the same things and wants to go no contact since I can't be supportive. Am I the arsehole?
No.
Wow.
You go first then, Nathan. Why do you think they're not the arsehole?
I don't think... Okay, this is all subjective. But in my eyes, they are not. Oh, of course there is an element of... being...
You've been watching too much Brazzers, Nathan.
Shut up, man.
Wait, sorry. By the way, we're asking, is the sister an arsehole for criticizing... her sister marrying her cousin?
Oh, is the sister an arsehole for
criticizing her sister marrying her cousin? Okay. In fact, to make it a bit simpler, in this scenario, we're talking about the sister is the person who's marrying the cousin. Is what she's doing right? Is what she's doing right? Wrong? Is she the arsehole? We'll say that instead to make it a little.
I do think it's kind of wrong, basically because you're blood related.
They're not in this scenario. No, the sister. They're not. The sister and the cousin are not blood related because they were the two sisters are half sisters. And so the one on this side, she is marrying her cousin. So they're not blood related.
Then that makes it a lot less weird.
Does it?
Now my opinion changes. I'm actually on the fence about this one.
All right, I'll go through then, mate. I'll let you think about your answer. I'll go through.
Yeah, Dan, save me here, please.
I think that it doesn't matter if you think she's an arsehole or not, because even if you're not related by blood, the fact that you share family members is going to get mad technical when it comes to... Because like anyone here who's been married will know the questions I ask you before you go into that ceremony room are mad. And if any of the questions I ask you, like you give the quote-unquote wrong answer to, your marriage ain't going ahead. So you could be chasing up a wild dream anyway. Yeah, so like it was for me anyway, because they ask, are you related to your partner in any way? Do you share any family members at all? Like questions, like that kind of question. Like they have to make sure. I think in the UK, I should premise this with. So yeah, it's gonna. And to be honest, like your life is gonna just be full of people who are gonna be calling you like sick freaks and dickheads anyway. So like you're making your life harder for yourself. Like true love, like is obviously like a bit of a madness, but the sister's not an asshole for thinking it's weird. Whether it's right or wrong, if they're not related by blood, it's very weird. But it's I don't want to say it's right because I don't think it's right, but I don't think it's as wrong as it could be, if that makes sense.
It's not as bad as
where I'm coming from.
It's not as bad as it seems, but it is definitely
not good.
There,
yeah, it's not as bad as it could be, but it's definitely not good. I think that's what I want to kind of.
Yeah, you pretty much summed it up exactly as I was going to say it. Like I was just trying to find the words. It's not right, but it's not wrong. Like, okay, you're not related, so. You're not blood related, so it's not technically that bad. And this is why
you shouldn't do it though. You shouldn't shoot where you eat, man.
You should not. I don't think you should break that barrier
juju.
Anyway, because you share family members. Technically, you are still involving yourself around the same people, and I think by that aspect, you're still.
I want to know how it goes through these people's heads when they're committing the physical act of love.
I want to hear.
That they're just like. Go on. Yeah, Jimothy.
I want to hear Andres because Andres doing bare facial expressions. So I want to hear what his opinion is.
For me, it's a plain and simple. Like the sister who married the cousin, it's just a no. It's just no.
Yeah,
I was very scared. Then I thought you were just gonna say it's a big fat yes. You get me?
Nah, it's just a no. The way I look at it is like this. Like any of my friends, you guys, anyone, like if they've got a partner. That partner's like family regardless. Then that's just how I view it. So then I would never go that way, if you get what I mean. Like I would never be that way inclined. So I don't care how much of a distant relation it is, if it's this cousin on this side through this auntie and it's just
still a relation, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the related. Do you know what I mean? There's a relationship there somewhere and it's closer than you think. So I just couldn't do it. And like yeah, I agree with the sister. She's got the right to feel the way that she does. Just
100%
alone.
Back that.
Also, just a quick thing as well. When I said earlier about like Asia, are we going into the Asian way? It seems very stereotypical for that kind of thing because, I'm just trying to remember. Sorry, but
Nathan's part Asian and he's allowed to make these jokes.
Yeah,
I'll save your ass, Nathan. Don't worry.
Kind of. Thank you. But it's also like you see this happen with a lot of Asian cultures. In sense of sometimes, like randomly you'll be marrying into someone's
family, like arranged marriage. Is that really a thing anymore? Like, not to go off on a tangent, but
no, it does happen.
I know it is an African culture. I don't know about Asian, but I know at least in African it's
Asian culture. Sure. I think more in like India, so on and so forth. Like arranged marriages do go on. Sometimes they could be related in some kind of way, like.
But this isn't an arranged marriage, bro. They're just rutting like hogs.
Oh, you know what I'm trying to get at.
That's why she would get a headlock.
Okay, wait, hold on. Jacob, what's your opinion on this? Let's hear your opinion, Jacob.
I think the situation is made more complicated by like, and obviously with these, we never know the full context of this kind of stuff. Like, I completely hear, and I would feel the same. As like particularly like what you were saying, Jimothy, around like thinking about it in relation to like the people I know, my own family, those kind of things. But like I don't know the people in it, and like it's hard to know like exactly like what those family members mean, what people's friends might mean to them, and where those relationships sit to each other, and like if say like one of these and it doesn't they probably not, because like these two sisters have seemed to know each other very well, but like there could be some circumstances in which people in this kind of situation, like the one bit of the family is like completely estranged and these people have never known each other and stuff, and like it's I don't think it's I think it's very fair for the sister, because like it's the two bits of her own family together, and that of course there's going to be that ick there, but like I don't think it's unreasonable for two people who are not related to feel things for each other and whatever. It's just it's all the stuff that then comes around it is
It's
stuff
like social politics.
Yeah, you have to navigate, and like, is it worth it for us? Is it the right thing for us to do, and whatever. And so it is complex, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the entire answer is complicated in itself because in more aspects than not, it is wrong. But
so, Fabs, you've obviously had more time to deep this question in it. I want to hear what you're thinking.
Oh god,
I disagree with everyone. From my perspective, I guess Jacob's person I disagree with less, but from my perspective, I wouldn't necessarily call her an asshole. I think she's fair to feel that way, but I also don't see it as wrong, and I see it as from a purely scientific point of view. Even if two siblings copulate, the chances of the child having issues because of that is really low, and this is siblings. Talk less of cousins. Interbreeding is only an issue when it happens generation after generation after generation. So that's the first thing. So in terms of
the Western European royal family.
Exactly. Yeah. So if we're talking from a purely health perspective, physically I don't see a risk. And then also normally the other reason why it'd be a risk is if you grew up with that person. It's weird. It's like if you're growing up with your sister and then you develop a relationship, then there's probably something abusive there. But this is her cousin on her dad's side. This is someone she's not related to and she hasn't even grown up with. It's like, what are we calling a sister or a sibling or a cousin? Is it just in name only? Is it someone you've actually practically grown up with? And so from that perspective, I see them as just two adults who aren't really related, who don't really know each other. They have no blood relation whatsoever. And then I think further to that, people have opinions no matter what you do. I agree that it will make your marriage harder. I do agree, and I think sometimes it's easier to make your life easier. But I also believe that before I got married, I remember I was one of the piece of advice I was given is that like I should find a girl from my tribe and I should find a girl who's also black and who's Nigerian and this and that and a Christian and goes to the same church because it will just remove issues. I got married to my wife and it was still a hassle. There were still fights that they found because people always have problems. Not to say that there won't be problems. Like, not to say that it couldn't have been even harder with more problems. But I feel like people always have problems. And I think one of the things that I've started to realize as I grow up that I should just do what makes me happy a lot of the times. Or at least make a decision that I'm okay with. I wouldn't. Yeah. I don't think I would make a decision because someone else wouldn't be okay with it. Because unless I really love that person.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Outside of my wife, I don't think I make decisions that I'm not happy with. Yeah. That's my wife is the only person I compromise for because ultimately I have to live with them. As I'm in the house and I'm crying and I'm next to this woman that I'm not interested in. That's what I'm saying as if I married someone that I don't want to marry. And I'm next to this woman and I don't want to marry her. It's like it's me who will be upset. So I can't make a decision so based on that, I also agree that if it was my sister or if it was my friend, I wouldn't want them to do it. But that to me doesn't justify it for me because that just says that my emotions are stepping in front of my rational thought, of my rational mind. And so from my perspective, I don't see her as doing anything wrong. I think it's fine for her to bring it up and say, look, I don't think this is cool. I don't think it's okay. And I understand why you would feel weird about it. But look, they like each other. They're not related. There's no real risk. Flow, man. Do you, man? Again, it's like, what's my business? I'm not in the room with you. I'm not in the bedroom with you. So that's my perspective. So yeah, I would say I disagree. I don't think think she's an asshole, but I don't think the sister's doing anything wrong.
That's wise words. Genuinely.
That's where I stand on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I entirely agree, but I do completely understand where you're coming from with that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that logic. Like to be completely honest. Run the relation by me again.
So, in this scenario, I'm gonna do it like this. It's gonna be a bit awkward how I describe this, Andre. I'm involving you in this because we're both the black guys, and it makes it easier. Like, hey, me and Andre are half brothers, okay?
Yeah. Sure.
I am going to marry Andre's cousin.
Andre, yeah.
And the cousin of Andre's that I'm marrying is on his dad's side. So me and Andre share mums. The cousin of Andre's I'm marrying are on his dad's side. So it's like the cousin that I'm marrying, we have no relation to. Like we don't, like as in me and that cousin, there's no blood, no nothing. Do you get it? So it's literally two completely unrelated people marrying. That's the situation.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if they're not related at all by blood, then like
no blood relation whatsoever.
Yeah, but it's a technical situation that I don't even know how I'd react on that unless something like that even.
Oh, I know how I'd react. Oh, I'd blast my sister if she did that. The way I'd blast her. Oh, I would blast her. Oh, I know I would. Oh, I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be impressed. I'll see. I say blessing.
Yeah.
You're not serious.
Blessings, but fuck off.
I'll
innit,
say you're
respectfully.
an unserious candidate to do that. Yeah, oh, of course. Yeah, I know exactly.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah, I know how I react. But then it's like, if...
I think that's a really good way to summarize how the sister should react in it. Like blessings, but fuck off.
Oh, sorry. A bit of context. My sister's name is Blessing.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, see. I just liked it. Innit? I liked the way that you were like, yeah, more power to you. But
I was gonna say.
I love that.
Oh, God.
So, final words after this mad conversation, this mad Amelie.
Oh, this is a good one. That's like we can't miss this one.
Swinging.
It was such a good one. Oh.
I was going to say as well,
back
it's like
into
it's good to have a difference of opinion as well, because at the end of the day,
100%.
everyone's different, and
100%.
you've got to have that variety as well. Because if you're all the same, what's the point?
And this time I'm not just being a shock jock. That's genuine as my opinion. Sometimes I disagree just to add some spice, but this time I do actually
Don't
genuinely.
say that for the viewers.
Bro, I still feel like I need to apologize because I didn't back my
no.
argument enough. Not even back my argument. I feel like I said
hear
it
you, bro.
wrongly.
Hey, there's no wrong answer in a debate, in it, unless the debate is like.
No, it's not even the debate. I just felt like I said something wrong.
My opinion
don't
is
worry.
there's no wrong answer except the answer that I didn't do. So yeah.
Right,
That's
that's
what
right.
I think.
What's everyone's final thoughts about YCS London?
Sick.
Arrival, best card.
Let's have another one soon.
Yeah.
Give me
looking forward to
Unchained
that
support so I can top a YCS.
Nice. On that
There is
bombshell
no
of
change
focus.
one.
Yeah, but I have to wait till August.
Alright guys, thank you all for watching. This was the YuGiOh show. I think this was episode 30, so also thank you to everyone who's been supporting us and stuff. It's really appreciated. This has been a really awesome journey. I'm gonna tentatively say this is the end of season 2. Tentatively. And so season 3 of the YuGiOh show will be starting soon. We've got a very special thing planned for the beginning of season 3. The only thing I'll say is that you guys should keep an eye on your Twitch feeds because something cool is coming. But yeah, we'll talk to you all soon. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.